Hello, everyone, and you're here from the Next Issue podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Blue Beetle number 9. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's talk about the creative team here. Pinnacle of Achievement Chapter 2 is written by Josh Trujillo with art by Adrian Gutierrez. Will Quintana on colors, letters by Lucas Gattoni. We have some variant covers. You'll see some at the end of the video. What a fantastic ride. This is probably coming out of the first arc the must read issue because this really puts everything into perspective. Like I was finally able to pick this up. And yeah, just I really enjoy this. Some of the stuff that happens in here, I don't know what's being set up, but I know that it's gonna be rough. We know that the book is wrapping up soon, so I feel like this arc, the team is just going all out when it comes to giving us a very emotional, impactful, and action-filled story, which Josh Trujillo just very adeptly doing so. And then just the art team bringing all that to life in the most visceral way you probably can. It's really cool stuff. Let me pull up some preview pages so you can see what I'm talking about. Just look at the expression here on Victoria Court. Like, just what has she created? What is this pinnacle? What has she done? Does she even have control of it? And of course, we have Jaime trying to deal with all that. Obviously, he doesn't. He knows he's in trouble. Is Victoria an enemy? Is she a friend? Is she an ally? I don't really know. We do have this really just cool moment of like Pinnacle kind of going out of control. Victoria had to step in, and it's just like I feel like this is gonna be an all-out battle, and I just love the way that Victoria kind of regains her cool here in the next page. So if you go back, just look at her eyes, right? She doesn't have his sunglasses on, and I think it's a really fun thing to like. Yeah, this is how she hides what she's really feeling. Uh, I just love that detail by the art team. I think they're doing so much in these pages that it really brings this whole world to life. So I'm really enjoying this book. It is one of the first things that I read once, like when this comes out, when we get our previews. One of the first things that comes out. One thing I did want to mention: a lot of the issues for this week or maybe this month have a little cartoon for Ramona Fradon, who recently passed. She was a comic creator, and it is very nice to see that that the DC Comics does stuff like that. They don't have to do stuff like that, but it's nice that they remember some of these people that have paved the way in the industry. So, um, and once again, really enjoy this issue. Make sure to pick it up. It's just really a must read if you're a Blue Beetle fan, and especially if you want to know how this is all going to wrap up. Right? I don't know how. I believe we're getting at least a few more issues, so I'll keep an eye on that. This arc should be completed pretty soon, but I'm very excited. So if Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Action Comics 1065. This is House of Brainiac Part 3. As you can see, we are getting closer on to that event. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into it. This is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Rafa Sandoval and Miguel Mendoza. Colors by Alejandro Sanchez. Letters by Dave Sharp. Uh, this issue feels like maybe one of the most fun ones that we've had in a little while, right? The gang is in a tough spot. A lot of them have been captured by Brainiac. So let me give you a quick synopsis. House of L versus House of Brainiac. Superman and Lobo have their hands full with Brainiac's army, so it's up to Supergirl and Connor Kent to stop Brainiac himself. It's an impossible battle, but they are joined by some unexpected and deadly allies. So that part is fun, and I won't give away what's going on there. But it feels like the Action Comics book is focusing a little bit more on how the Super Family is handling this, whereas the Superman title handles more, just follows Clark a little bit more closely. There is some there's some interconnection, you can definitely tell. But I'm really glad that we have that little bit of separation. So let's take a look at some of the preview art here before I get into more of the story. So we see here, some of the House of L members are trapped in the little glass bottles. It looks like Brainiac has been collecting all these powerful peoples to extract their powers because he's looking to use all that power to make something. Right? He's working on something. Lex obviously knows this a little bit of this We also get into a little bit of how this Sarsians came to be with Brainiac, and just really cool action shots. I really love this explosion here. Very interesting to see Lobo and Superman working together, of course. And yeah, just look at that. That's such a great opening page, like for the title page, right? And the lettering on Lobo is always top notch. Like whenever you have some of that big bombastic font, really really cool stuff. So I think I have one more page to show you. No, I don't. Okay. So yeah, this is a really fun story. We have Supergirl and Connor in miniature inside the ship, trying to figure things out, trying to get out of Dodge, trying to help the family out. So it's really really fun stuff. I'm really really enjoying the story. And as you saw in the Absolute Power uh, free comic book day preview, uh, this is all gonna coincide with some of the other stories that are going on in the DC universe to bring that event to life. So yeah, highly highly recommend you check this out. I'm really having fun with the Superman world at the time. So hello, everyone. Dane here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Gone #3. This is a new book from Distillery by comic creator Jacques. I am very, very excited to talk about this, the conclusion of this three-part miniseries. Beautifully written and drawn by Jacques Eisner Award-winning artist of Snow Angels and Batman: One Dark Knight. Gone comes to its rending conclusion. This is, I think I've said this before, for fans of like things like Andor or the Hunger Games. You know, it's kind of a very interesting sci-fi tale. In this book, Abby has been from one end of the galaxy to the other, and just about the only place she hasn't reached is the one place she is most afraid to go, and that is back home. But fate and her own steely will have combined to send her there, and now she must confront the past secret that's darker than the deepest depths of outer space. Um, yeah, this was such a cool issue. I'm very excited for people to discover this book. First of all, I am a big fan of Jacques. Like, just the work that he's been doing for all these years, it's really impressive. He has a very interesting storytelling way, which is very much heavily very heavily uh, geared towards the art, which makes excellent. You know, it makes perfect sense, right? He originally a comic book artist, but just throughout that, you know, he's been art is such a big part of the storytelling. And you can ask any comic fan, any comic creator. So just to see the all the pieces kind of come together, surrounded by this beautiful art, just really, really knocked it out of the park. I can't wait to reread this. I think the collection of this is going to be really cool. And now that a lot of these distillery titles are coming to an end, and they're about to be collected, I feel like this is where a lot of these books will go into the mainstream, right? Sometimes not everybody is a Wednesday warrior. Not everybody's somebody that likes to collect floppies, especially because these are oversized, and we'll talk about that when we get to the art. So yeah, definitely as these books become more available, whether it's on a digital format or a collected edition, I think they're going to reach an audience. So if you're somebody who's here for a sci-fi adventure, is here, but it's also full of heart, it's full of adventure, it's full of like there's a lot of shit that it's kind of fucked up and it happens. So I really like the idea that all this stuff is happening to Abby while things back home, because of space-time dilation, you know, it feels like not much time has passed, but a lifetime of experience is being put through Abby. So really, really cool concept as well, which is very common trope in sci-fi, but I really love it. So let's take a look at some of the preview art here. And this is where the oversize comes in. As you can see, there is this feels very cinematic. I also love that just the juxtaposition of the pink smoke background versus the ship. Like we're looking inside the ship as we see from the outside of the ship as well. Just a really great setup shot. Like this is how you come back into the fold. And then we go inside, we see Abby, we see some of the other individuals in the ship, and we see that things are not going very well. And you can tell where you see Abby here, from when we met her back in the Devil's Cut one shot, like a lot has happened to her. But I really love all the sci-fi visuals. This not only the pink smoke, but also just like this device or this column of like I don't even know what exactly could be this column where all this stuff is coming from. Really cool, and of course, seeing characters, all with space capes and just all the gear looks very cool. But I think the thing that really puts this book over the top is the like its heart and the feelings that you see towards the end of the book as things kind of come full circle. So really excited to hear what other people have to say about this. There's so many cool covers. I can only pick so many, but I'm very invested. Uh, I went with this one. This is the main cover. Really, really cool stuff, and just really amazing visuals. There's so much storytelling here. There's so much conflict. There's so many things that feel very familiar, but also kind of a new twist on all that. So, very excited. You'll see some more covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. So, for our review this week, our friends over at Dark Horse sent us this Masters of the Universe Revolution. Now, we're in a pretty interesting position because Jeff and Clay have not watched the season of Masters of the Universe Revolution. And I feel like a lot of this book relies on you having that knowledge,
It
maybe.
must, because it missed with me.
So, okay, so if you haven't seen the latest season of Masters of the Universe on Netflix, maybe skip ahead. I'll have timestamps in the description. Let's talk about the creative team real quick. So this is by a story by Tim Sheridan, Rob David, and Ted Baselli, who are all the story people behind the animated show. And the script is by Tim Sheridan, who I think is a great writer. We have pencils by Daniel HDR, inks by Keith Champagne, and colors by Brad Simpson. Letters by Anwar Design. So Clay, let's start with you since you said this was a miss. What's going on? Where's the disconnect?
Well, I mean, it tries to reach back in deep He-Man lore and
Mhm.
tell this story. And as it got there, I kind of just didn't care where it was going. I wasn't
Mm.
invested. I don't know why the story couldn't just pick up on page one, panel one, and just jump from there. I love the show. I love the first part that I've seen. But I have not. I don't have Netflix now, so I don't have the second show. So
Gotcha.
then this is kind of a bust if you don't have that, because I find myself drifting off while I was reading it, and the art kept me in,
Yeah,
but I would find myself rereading panels.
there's yeah here since you brought that up. This is kind of the first few pages of the art. So we
Yeah, I
do go
mean,
back all the way to the beginning of time. Seems like in
Mhm.
Eternia. Uh, but pretty rad designs for these. So these creatures are behind a lot of the big plot points in season two. I don't even want to talk too deep about it because I feel like if you guys watch season two, maybe and then go back to this. So Jeff, how did you feel about the book?
I'm a little. So I've only seen like a couple of episodes of season two, and I just haven't finished it yet. So I'm with Clay. Like I got a little bit more out of it. I think maybe just a skosh. Uh, but I did feel like I'm like, oh, I'm definitely missing. I think the comic does assume that you've seen the second season,
Yeah,
and so like a lot of this stuff feels like you're getting filled in on stuff that you caught in the second season. But if you didn't catch it, then you're just like, it's almost like reading a history book, sort of like it's not very.
yeah,
There's nothing compelling to it,
yeah, yeah. I
but
get that.
you know enough about like the universe and stuff where you're just kind of hooked. I do like all the character designs. I mean, they're super cool. It made me want to play with the toys.
like I said, the art
Uh,
top notch.
yeah. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of exposition in
It,
it, and then not a lot is really said. Not a lot happens. It's just
I
Hordak
f-
meets Keldor.
yeah, I
That's
feel
about
like
it.
this. I feel like this first issue is a lot of like if you haven't seen the show, we're gonna try to fill you in on this first one, right? And
Mhm.
from here, we can tell the story that we actually want to tell. I do love seeing all the Hordak stuff, like just his actual army, because in the show you don't get to see a lot of people working with him. it's really just him and like maybe a few other smaller characters. There's some characters that feel like I should recognize them later on in a few other pages. I don't have preview pages for that, but even just seeing all these people with the Hordak armor and like that's cool. And then,
Yeah.
like I said, this first part, like these creatures or these entities are a big part of the lore too that kind of gets built up. And then I do love. I mean, this is even if you haven't seen it, like you can recognize what this is the top of the staff, right? That
Yeah.
Skeletor usually wields. So
Yeah.
so there's a lot there. So I think our conclusion, and correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth. Uh, if you've seen the season 2, you'll probably get a lot more out of this.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's definitely going to drag a little bit. So I think I'd be curious to have you guys. So whenever we get the second issue, I'll send it over, and maybe you could check it out and see if like okay, this did the first issue give you enough to get you kind of hooked,
On the second
or
issue. That'd be
yeah.
interesting.
So I don't know. Is there anything else we want to say
I,
on this? I know it's kind of a brief review, but
there've been more tie-ins because this is the Kevin Smith
yeah,
universe on Netflix.
yeah,
There's a second. Are there two He-Man cartoons happening right now?
there
I see
are.
like okay, yeah.
There are two him. There's one that's more gear for younger. I think that like actually says He-Man, and the
Okay,
man maybe it's just called He-Man, but there's definitely um one gear towards younger audiences, and then the Kevin Smith stuff that's continuing the original cartoon. So
yeah,
which highly
okay.
recommend. We got reviews for that season 2 on the channel, reviews for season 1. Kevin Smith liked my tweets about it, so you know. So all right,
Way to go, Silent Bob. Do you prefer
cool.
your He-Man more barbarian or more cartoony kids?
No, I think barbarian wise,
Barbarian.
yeah. I did want to mention the cover for this issue is super fucking rad.
Oh yeah.
These are the two covers. This is the cover A has Hordak, and then cover B is the Magnola, which
That's
doesn't even
great.
look like Magnola much.
Yeah, it doesn't. I thought it was like
It looks like
Michael
somebody
Oving.
doing Magnola.
Yeah. But he's been doing alternate covers for a lot of the Dark Horse books. I think